Hi. Welcome to another episode of Philo. It is me, Amber Greenlee, also known as Art Glitch, also known as Glitch, also known as so many other things on the internet. I am joined today by my co-host, Miss Robin Fisher. Hello, Miss Robin Fisher. You're not supposed to be tiny in the corner. I don't know why you are. This is my co-host, Miss Robin Fisher. We here on Philo love Canada. And all things Canada, and Miss Robin Fisher is from Canada, and we love
represent.
Yeah, represent. And then our guest today, let me turn down the music a little bit so that we can just kind of hear ourselves think a little bit. But my guest today is Miss Kathryn White. Kathryn White and I've known each other since the early days of webcomics, when one of the main games in town was Keen Space. And Keen Space, was one that you could sign up for free. And they would host you. And before the Crosbys knew how much that would cost. And now they don't do that anymore. Twitch is being a twatch, says Magic Marmot. In case says hi.
Okay, hi Magic Marmot.
Yes, and so Kathryn and I have stayed in touch, and she has gotten into doing like print art and like blocks. Yeah, nice. Like linoleum blocks and like soap prints and like
very cool.
Yeah, like cool like I don't want to use the term artsy stuff, but more like craft art.
It's more like the traditional. You gotta have physical rather than it's drawing on a tablet. Which so it's been a while since I've had to use a tablet, and
that's okay.
I've used Flip Studio Paint before, so this will be interesting. Although I do use Photoshop and Illustrator and all that, so the day job, but and I'm scared, but also excited.
Yeah, I think you're going to be fine. And I have used Clip Studio Paint for several years, so if you have any questions about the program, you can always ask me.
I'm bailing for food. I'll be right back.
Okay, you may bail for food. You are allowed to do such things, for you have freedom in your country.
It's a good thing.
Okay, so I'm going to let her bail for food for now. And then let me bring up where we're at in the story. And we will do a review for our audience of where we're at in the story. Yes. So K-Berg says, please meet you, Kathryn. Hi, Amber, Robin, Magic Marmot. And I remember those, says Magic Marmot. And then, hi, everyone, says Jeremy. So where we are in the story is Philo is currently on trial for crimes against unreality in Spader Court. Spader Court is because a squad of Spaders came down in our like Escher land full of Stargates to police a situation that was forming with everybody showing up. And so he asked, where weren't you on March 10th? And a pro bono Spader shows up, which happens to be Ultron, because Ultron was played by James Spader. And so the defense lays out their exhibits of Philo and like his dog and Armand having a good time. And then the jury of Spaders confer. The verdict is handed to the judge. The name of the episode is We the Spaders Find Philo ... So is it me or is it muted? I can't hear anything. It is quiet, not muted. Is it quiet? Here, let me do this. Does this help? Perhaps I had my thing a little doing that. But yeah, let me turn on some music. And then that way we'll have like some cool music behind us. There we go. Let's see. I tried another reload. It's still on mute, it seems. I don't know. It's everything seems to be going on my end. It looks like I have sound on my end. But yes, so that's where we are in the story. Is we don't know what happens in Spader Court. We don't know what happens. So, do you want to take first panel, or do you want me to?
I can do first panel if you want me to.
Okay, awesome. So, let's see, what is today? Today's the 1st. Oh my gosh. Time flies. Time does fly. And then I always have to remember it is Cathryn, no E.
I've got the weird spelling.
Yep.
I tell everybody because they always ask for the K or the C, but that's another story.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's not your fault.
No.
Yeah. You know, it's like I said, it's not your fault. Let's see, give me one quick second. I realize I need to copy a layer. Yeah, I need to copy a layer.
Oh, good, Jeremy. I'm glad you figured that out. He has the microphone on Twitch muted on the screen. That's something I would do.
Yeah. All right,
Okay.
awesome. Yeah, I accidentally screwed up my layers last episode. So okay, so what happens? What is the verdict? Let's see. I tried another reload. Let's see. I can hear you fine. Philo is found guilty. He's taken to Escher jail. Oh, I figured it out. Yeah, I had the microphone on Twitch muted on the screen. Windows 11 machines can be weird in audio. Silly me. The weird spelling starts with a Q. 6 watching and guilty. Yes, guilty. He is guilty.
I wish I knew how to draw tessellations really, because that would be the coolest thing to do with the bars. But
yeah, let me get your screen up, and then we'll get you starting to draw first, and then that
I'm
way.
using my fiance's computer, by the way, and he has a trackball mouse, and I'm always trying to learn how this thing is so I can actually rename, or I may just have to file per thing. Move on before I grab the whole pin to the tablet.
Yeah, Ian prefers a trackball mouse too.
I'm not a fan, but that's because I've used the standard ones for so long.
Yeah.
Let's see. Trying to remember the font.
Let's see. There we go. All right. Awesome. I figured that out. Oh, Robin's back. Oh, I'm sorry. Robin's been telling me she's back, and I forgot to bring her back.
That's okay. Just going gorging on my French fries.
No, I didn't mean to ignore you. I'm trying to run the show and type and do everything.
No, I understand. I thought
Yes.
you had layers to deal with.
Yes, Amber, it is wonderful to see you today. Hi, Tangent. So guess what? I'm making regular at the post office. Very cool. On April 19th, I'll be full-time, and that's not an April Fool's joke. Good for you, Tangent.
Congratulations, Tangent. Bravo.
Used to love the Logitech Thumball. Still do, but they're harder to find. When Robin's coming back, says Magic Marmot right as you were typing. I'm back. I'm here. See me. So yeah, so that is your panel. You're doing panel 1, by the way.
I am doing he's found guilty.
Yeah, I think found guilty, and then I'll draw Escher jail.
Okay.
Yeah, and yours is just guilty, and then
Right.
is your caption, and then
What's the font again? 'Cause I'm trying to find the name for the yeah.
you're trying to find the name for what?
The font so that I can label the black section.
It's called Captain's Talk.
Thank you. I kept thinking pirate for some reason, and I was like, "No, kid, that's not it."
Well, no, Captain's
We have
Talk
our
is
own
similar to
specific
Pirate.
font.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's cool.
I do when I do tech checks with people, and you know how you're like, yeah, we only have 2 rules. We have more than 2 rules.
Oh, okay. There's font. Well, I try to keep it chill. That's all.
Yeah, we have some rules. But that's okay. Oh, Papin 3D says hi. Hi, Papin 3D. I didn't see you there. That I believe is from Kit's Twitch channel, because I didn't see it pop in on mine.
Yeah, it's
With
not up
Papin
on our
3D.
speech.
Yeah. So let's see.
Look, I got a
Silly-
bubble tea.
Ooh, what flavor?
With- Just bubble tea flavor without bubbles. Because when I used to live in China, and when you would go to like spas or 24-hour buffets or like any kind of place that would offer like a hospitality bar, you get like this free tea, and it's like super sugary English breakfast tea with lots of milk. And so it's basically the base of bubble tea, and I always love it, but I don't want bubbles.
Oh,
Well, you don't have to have bubbles if you don't want to. No one's forcing
Yeah,
you on the show.
It's weird to me, like it's a texture thing. Like I don't. Do you remember we used to have that pop Orbit? Did you ever see that Orbit?
gosh, I remember those.
I never tried it or wanted to try it because it's just like I don't want to be having chunks in my tea. I don't know. Is that weird?
This is like the roughest of rough sketches here.
Well, I remember those. I think I had one once. You know, and it was like the fizziness was kind of cool of it.
Magic
but-
Marmot just illustrated my point. He's like, I love the tapioca bubbles. They're like fish eyes. Exactly. I don't want to pop fish eyes in my mouth. I don't like caviar either.
The eyes are the best part. No, they're not.
Oh, I like caviar. But, you know, everybody's different. Yes. I taught a still life drawing class on Saturday. And I had to work at the club too. And so Friday I worked late, and then Saturday morning I had to get up way early. And then I worked from 9 to 1 teaching the class. And then from the club, I had to work from like 4 to like, I think I got off at 12.
Wow.
So, yeah, it was a long day for me. The club. Yeah.
Did they like what you chose for your still life?
I think I had 4 retayees and one like teen that had just graduated high school trying to figure out what he wanted to do. He liked drawing anime, and he wanted to figure out like drawing. And I was showing him like a college technique, which is called sight-size drawing, where you use something, you hold it up, you know, and you actually use your drawing implement to measure the thing you're drawing, and to keep the proportions the same and stuff. And it was, you know, he didn't stick with the still life that I gave him, but he was using that technique drawing other things in the class. And so, yeah. And so, like, being 19, like, I'm going, you know, I'm like, I've been there, right? Like, I might have thrown too much at him with the still life, right? And
that
so,
passion any way you can. And you did.
exactly. And so what I was saying and stuff is, like, I was letting him know that you know, with art, you have to be okay with being bad first before you're ever going to be good at something.
Oh yeah.
You know, and like Jimi Hendrix wasn't born with a guitar in his hand, right? No one was. No musician you've ever heard was born with the instrument in their hand, right? And no artist you've ever seen their artwork of was born with a pencil in their hand, right? They had to get there with practice and work. And it takes time. And the only way you're going to get better is with a lot of bad drawings before they start looking kind of okay. And then a lot of okay drawings before they start looking better. And then your better drawings are going to get better and better and better, but you have to stick with it. And so that was one thing I tried to emphasize in my class.
On Sesame Street, they had Janelle Monáe on, and she was teaching them about the power of yet. You don't know it. You just don't know it yet. You're going to know how to do it soon. Just not yet.
Yeah.
So, I mean, practice, and you'll know it. We should say hi to Gary Garlew and Earthspace also just arrived.
Hello.
Hi, Earthspace. And then, yes, I saw Gary. I didn't get a chance to say hi to Gary. Hi, Gary Garland. Gary is a good friend of mine who's an artist out in LA who has worked in movies as a designer, character designer, and animator for like years. Super talented. Also from the days of Keen Space. And then of course, Earthspace.
That were on that in that time period. That, you know, it was like something. I hate to use that word.
We have a new watcher.
Ooh.
Oh, hi, Girl Anonymous 77. That goes for everything. I've been bad at stuff my entire life, says Magic Marmot.
I don't believe it, Magic Marmot. I'm sure you're good at many things.
I think I saw something somewhere, and I can't remember who the quote is attributed to. I'll have to go back later when I'm not in the middle of this to go look it up. But usually a musician said it, but it applies to all of the arts. And it's like, they said that their goal was to ruin as much manuscript paper as possible. And I'm thinking, yeah, your goal is to ruin as many sketchbooks as you can.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
that it's going to be crap, and that's one less piece of crap that's inside of you, and you're one step better to a better piece of art.
And they say that about jazz too, right? Like where you have to be good at something so intricate and sublime, you have to be really good at it so you can break it down and be bad at it.
Yeah.
Well, also, there's the saying that like, I'm sorry, my brain just totally spazzed. There's a saying that like, I lost it. I'm sorry, my brain totally spazzed. I'm still fried from Saturday.
Magic Marmot has a funny joke though. You should read what he wrote.
Let's see. I've been described as a jack of all trades, master of an annoying number of them. Also, remember your art probably not as crap as you think it is. Yeah, I suppose that's true too.
And nobody can see what's in your head. If you have a certain picture of how you want it in your head, but it doesn't turn out how you want it, you don't tell anybody. They don't know.
Mm-hmm. That's why I love working with kids, because they don't care. They're just happy to see it, right? Also, we have another watcher. The Fly Roper has arrived.
Hi, Fly Roper. How are you? Yeah, I'm really trying to get affiliate. I appreciate everybody showing up tonight. And if I can get affiliate, it means that I can start offering things for the Twitch channel. Yeah.
You can start offering tiers, as in TIERS.
Yeah.
And TEARS.
I just filled my Patreon sketches for the month of April. So there's a sketch every day for the month of April for patrons of all levels. And I'm trying to be a good online artist. I'm trying to contentify I
don't, it seems to me, because I watch a lot of stuff, I've become, with the new generation, Gen Alpha with my brainwaves.
Yeah.
It seems like it's not so much that you do a lot of amazing content. It seems more like if you continue to do content. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, if you're putting something out twice a week, it gets picked up pretty quick. Like, my nephew watches these kids called the Ninja Kids.
Yeah.
And they're just like this family of like 4 kids, and they all know martial arts, and they sing songs and like do skits and stuff. And that's like one of many videos he watches of these like families doing skits.
I know, but a lot of those like families doing skits, dressing up things, like, they have a lot of money behind those channels, like to edit them and put them together and promote them and throw all the different types of videos together. Let's see. It's a Philo party, says Magic Marmot. And then thought I'd stop in. Yes, thank you. And then I know versus the sweet blood kind. Short attention span theater, says Magic Marmot. And then hi hug, says Ollie Sama. Hi Ollie.
Hi, Ollie.
Yeah, Ollie just returned back from Iran.
Oh wow.
Had spent I want to say a month, maybe 2-3 months there. And you know,
that where his family is?
Yeah, reconnected with family out in that area. And you know, like I would have tried to visit the ziggurats, but they are in kind of contested territory right now. And yeah, I understand why you don't go and visit the ziggurats of Ur. Someday I want to go see them.
I love how you are drawing Armand. I'm such a sucker for octopus, though.
Yeah. Well, I'm trying to draw him like a realistic octopus, not like a cartoony octopus. You know.
The octopus that I really dislike is the Japanese one where they put like the little lips on the front of his head. You know.
Yeah.
That kind of one. I don't think octopus should have lips on their head. I mean, well, what we've got lips on our head, but I don't know. I just really like the whole blankness, how they just have like their big eyes and the little spouts and then just this giant bulbous head. I don't know. Yeah. I love them. Do you know? Oh, I got so excited because, okay, so I work up on the top of this hill called Burley Hill, and it's right by Brock University, which is like the big university in this area. And there's like a lot of like subdivisions in around there. And they've got a lot of forest area too. And apparently they have a roving mob of turkeys. There's got to be, I don't know what the word is for a band of turkeys, but it like there's like, 10 or 12 of them hang out together. Because I was like, don't coyotes or wolves come and like just eat them? And my friend was like, no, they've been there forever. And there's like so many of them. They just like, maybe they pick them off when they're dying and I don't know. But anyways, I'm so enamored right now with the idea of like this group of turkeys just hanging out amongst like the houses in the suburb.
I just found a new toy in Clip Studio Paint. Look at this. Look at this toy. Look at this toy. Look. I'm gonna make like a little circle area down here. Bam!
Oh, nice.
Wow. That's very nice.
Yeah, so I'm sorry. I was just like, what does that do? And then I was like, oh, yeah, let's get rid of some gaps. Let's group them a little bit.
So the Black Hulk has arrived. Hello.
Oh, hello, the Black Hulk. How are you doing?
Magic Marmot agrees. He loves Armand. And Hulk says, sorry I'm late. I'm just starting my route for the day. Magic Marmot wants me to know they have beaks, and I totally knew that. I know everything about octopus. And then the Fly Roper says, did you see the great videos of turkeys walking in circles? And my thing is, my favorite thing is watching turkeys play soccer. Apparently, there's a lot of videos where they play soccer. I've seen about 3 of them now. And they just kind of, with their big fat bodies, and they like hit the ball. I don't know why I'm so obsessed with turkeys right now. And then the Black Hulk said a group of turkeys is a rafter, I believe. A rafter of turkeys. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sounds good to me. A raft of turkeys. A rafter of turkeys.
Yeah, turkeys are one of those things that like you think you know the size of a turkey until you get up close to one.
Yeah. That's why I'm kind of obsessed with them. Like I just want to like hang out with them for a bit and be like just observe and I don't know. I love animals so much. Like, okay, so when I lived in Montreal, they have like the biodome and they have like a whole like Arctic thing in there with penguins and stuff. And so we have this festival. You guys have it too in the States. I know you do because I've seen it advertised in the big cities. It's in French we call it Nuit Blanche. It's a white night. And so what we have, I don't know if it's the same down there, but it's like all the art galleries and all like the museums and stuff. And they all stay open till like 3 a.m. And the city buses keep running that late too, so you can go and see stuff. And then like the center of the city has got all this crazy free stuff happening on top of whatever the museums and the art galleries are putting on. So the Biodome is this place in Montreal too, where they actually literally set up a dome where people could live in it for a bit for an experiment. But now
I know what the
something different.
Biodome is. I know what the Biodome is.
And so anyways, they had a thing where you could hang out with the penguins during Nuit Blanche one year. And I was so excited. I was like, oh, I cannot believe this is going to be so awesome. I'm totally going to hang out with the penguins. I can't wait. And so then, of course, I went and they had them like in sort of like a hockey rink barrier. And they were just like by themselves and we could watch them. And I was like, I'm an idiot. I can't believe I literally thought I could like hang out with them, like touch them and be near them and just be like by them. No, they would never let humans be that close. So random. So unsafe for them. The poor penguins. But I literally for like weeks was like, I'm gonna hang out with penguins.
Magic Marmot's asking what a group of Spaders is.
Spies? SPIs? The Blackhawk says, I know what a biodome is because of Pauly Shore. He's right.
Yeah. Here's a bit of trivia. Biodome was the first time Tenacious D ever had a film gig.
Really?
Yes, they are playing when they have the huge party at the Biodome, you know, and he invites everybody in and they ruin the Biodome. Tenacious D is the band playing at the party.
That's awesome. Wow.
Yeah. So it's like
I love stuff like that.
Really young Jack Black and Kyle Gass.
Well, my parents like to watch that BBC BritBox, and there's like Inspector Morse is on there. And every so often I'd catch it with them and it would be like this, like, it's like an old 80s detective show and you'd see someone who's like super huge now. Like I remember Johnny Miller was on once in this bit role or you know, I started watching, what was the other? Oh, I was watching Due South and I saw like Mark Ruffalo and I swear to God he was like 19. I didn't recognize him all until he started talking and I was like, I know that voice. It's hilarious watching those old shows, seeing who's in them, surprisingly.
There's an episode of Married with Children that has a really young Mia Jovovich in it. She's probably like 15, 16 years old in it.
Oh my God.
And she's playing opposite of Kelly Bundy, which is Christina Applegate. Right? And she is the new sexy girl at school, the new foreign sexy girl at school that is the rival to Kelly. Right? And it's, you know, it's interesting because like she's an actual 16-year-old girl and Christina Applegate,
she was famous at that time because she had just done Blue Hawaii Part 2.
Yeah, exactly. And so
I actually was really obsessed with her because she put out an album when she was like, I think 18, 19 years old. And I have it on cassette and I loved her. And her big role was she was supposed to have a role in Dazed and Confused. And I couldn't wait to see her in it because I only knew her as like a model. Cause at this time I was like, grunge was happening. And so I was reading magazines to learn about, I was living in small town, Sault Ste. Marie. But yeah, she was supposed to be in Dazed and Confused and I was so excited to watch it and I watched it and I think she had one line in it, but at least she sang one of her songs, so I was excited. And then after that she had Fifth Element. But it's funny that you mentioned her because I was reading about her today. I had like I got so upset. I've been so disillusioned because I've discovered, so I'm a fan of Luc Besson. Do you know that director? He did
he did
La Femme Nikita, The Professional, and Fifth Element, right? Yeah. So I love Fifth Element, or I love most of his movies, and I really, really, of course, love The Professional. I found it to be like just this weird, heartfelt movie. But deleted scenes have come out that have turned it into quite the sexual thing, and apparently he was dating a 15-year-old at the time of The Professional, who thinks that The Professional is about their love story. And he met her when she was 12. She's the blue alien singer in The Fifth Element.
Yeah.
And then, of course, when he did Fifth Element, he dropped her like a hot potato and went for Mila because she was 21. And I knew they were married for a couple years because they did Joan of Arc together as well. And then he dropped Mila. They broke up. But I was like, oh my God, all these movies I love, totally just you find out the truth of them and you're just disgusted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, speaking of Dazed and Confused, which I saw when I was in high school, did you know the coach, the guy who played the coach in the movie, he is the brother of my high school art teacher.
Wow. That's crazy.
Yeah.
That must be so surreal for you.
Kind of was, considering it was itty bitty little high school. I came from a itty bitty little town in northeast Arkansas. So there were 25 people in my graduating class, including me.
Wow.
So that gives you an idea. It was a little surrounded by rice fields. So all the farmers' kids and stuff were busting, and tiny, tiny school. So, but I adored my high school art teacher because he was very cool, and I learned a lot of my art stuff. And he was actually cool, as in the fact that he wasn't one of those creepy guys either. He was actually a nice guy. So who knew?
He wasn't a Matthew McConaughey, is what you're saying?
At least not to my knowledge. I hope not. Somebody didn't come out with something. But that's one of the things I do remember is him dropping that bomb, and we're going, what? What?
I knew there was a kid. I used to be a manager of a comic book store in Vancouver eons ago. And there was a guy who came by, and his name was Dustin, and he did this really cute and funny comic. And I immediately loved it. And I was like, if you have more of these, bring them in. Because I was very stringent about having local alternative indie comic in the store. And his stuff was good. And then to my surprise, the dude showed up in that movie, The Virgin Suicides, as one of the main roles, as like one of the main antagonizers. And I was like, what the hell? But I mean, I should have known because like at the time it was Vancouver, it's Hollywood North, basically. Like David Cross came into the store, Mark Hamill came into the store. Like a lot of one guy who was auditioning to be J. Jonah Jameson in the Sam Raimi Spider-Man movie came into the store.
Wow.
So like a lot of people would come in because it was right downtown in Vancouver, and people were doing research. Like I remember the set designer for a Warren Ellis TV series came in. Another time, one of the people for Chris Carter, is that the guy's name who did X-Files? He was going to be doing a William Gibson comic. And he was looking, I think it was called Harsh Realm, and he was looking for the comics for that. So, like people come in all the time. But yeah, it's funny when people show up. I was watching some made-for-TV special where the women kill their men or whatever, and my friend Rob Dayton showed up as like a psycho, and I was like, what? Rob! Oh my God, that's crazy. I love it though. I love it when stuff like that happens.
So, the My Pillow commercials where the bald guy is looking in the mirror, and it's the My Pillow guy in the mirror of the bathroom going, "You need a My Pillow," right? And that bald guy, right? That was LeShock in TV. Oh, wow. And so he and we did puppets together. That bald guy. Yeah.
That's crazy.
And so I'm sure his politics aren't the same as like My Pillow, but I should hope not. Okay, I think I did a good Escher jail.
Jeremy wants to know if I was talking about J.K. Simmons, and I wasn't, because I don't remember who was J. Jonah Jameson in the Sam Raimi Spider-Man, but Simmons was the Tom Holland, wasn't he? The Tom Holland J. Jonah?
No, he was J. Jonah Jameson in both.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, well, that makes sense.
Yes, they literally recast J.K. They recast him as like the same character.
So yeah. I don't know if it was him because I can't remember. The dude looked like him.
Yeah.
I want to say it wasn't him though. I think it was just some other guy auditioning for it. I don't think it was J.K. Simmons, because
Well,
No, I don't
know
think
about
I've been
the guy that
watching
came
Oz
in
at
your
the time.
store.
At that time, no, I hadn't watched Oz at that time. I didn't start watching that till I was in Montreal.
Sam Raimi Spider-Man.
No, Jeremy agrees with you. He says, yeah, he was the first actor to play Jonah in the Raimi movie.
Yeah, but this is J.K. Simmons as J. Jonah Jameson. I'm gonna put it in the main window just to.
I know what he looks like.
I know. I just thought it was amazing casting.
Yeah, it was really good casting.
Right. And the thing is J.K. Simmons is a guy who respects the material.
Mm-hmm.
And,
he's very good.
And he went back and he like watched the cartoon shows. He read the comics. You know, and
have you seen him in Oz?
Of course I have.
Yeah, because that was like scary as heck. He was terrifyingly good and terrifying in it.
But talking about him as J. Jonah Jameson, you know, because he talked about like his preparation for this character, right? Mm-hmm. And so he said in an interview that like, you know, he's like, okay, I'm gonna be J. Jonah Jameson. He's a news guy and he doesn't like Spider-Man, right? And as he's reading the comics and everything like that, he's like, this is more than just doesn't like. This guy hates Spider-Man.
Yeah.
So he's like,
well, he's the perfect scapegoat for everything, right?
Yeah.
He can rant and rave and get the clickbait going.
Yeah, Charles is quite awesome and no, his politics do not align with the play, says Magic Marmot. Talking about the bald guy that was in the Mike Philo commercial. Yeah, that's that actor. Yeah, he was LeShock. And then I wonder what he did to prepare for Portal 2. I don't know. He did not want to read the rest of that scene though, where they were shoving her inside GLaDOS. He did not want to read the rest of that scene.
Can't say I blame him.
He was like, I ain't doing that. That is not okay. And yeah.
You know what I'm thinking about Escher Jail? Because we've already done the whole stairway thing, right?
Yeah.
One of the cool paintings that Escher did was that one where it's like a puddle in the mud, and you can see like the reflection of the leaves on top, and you can see whatever's happening in the water underneath.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like those layers of existence, but they're trapped in it. Because it is a jail. Maybe it's gonna be a little bit like when Zod got captured too in the negative zone.
This was kind of what I was going with for Escher Jail, is that there's like lines both in front and behind them. And
okay, yeah.
I don't know.
I thought that was just them going on their way to Escher Jail. I didn't realize that was the actual Escher Jail.
I was thinking that was the actual Escher Jail.
You know what you could do too is just do a couple of like weird lines at the end of these long lines, because you know how he has those shapes that are interlocking that turn into things. And you don't have to go that far, but like, I don't know. Because right now it just looks like they're going through ludicrous speed again.
What do you think? Do I need to do some more on this panel, or are we good?
I think you're ready to move on to the next panel.
All right, let me save this real quick.
That's an excellent rendition of Philo.
Thank you.
Yeah, but Magic Marmot says think of the staircases, but we already did the staircases. Escher is more than just staircases. Maybe it's the reflective ball. You know, where he had his face in the reflective silver ball? Maybe they're trapped in a reflective silver ball with their face all huge and distorted.
I was going to try and go with your reflection thing. I was going to try and go with your reflection thing and see if I can do that.
Okay. Stars by Escher. Do you want to know something really cool? A lot of Escher's pieces are in an art gallery, either in our national gallery in Canada or an art gallery in New Brunswick, because he retired to the Maritimes. Escher stars.
I've had the opportunity.
Oh, that's a great idea. Who had that idea? Gary Garlew says, "Look up stars by Escher." Look it up, Amber. It'll give you. That's a really good thing that you did too, though. But you should look this up. This is perfect. Gary Garlew's right.
Okay, so what is my next and we're going to be.
Oh, that's geometric. Oh, geometric.
You could do like a simple where it's just 1 or 2 lines, but still, it's like a jail, and it's awesome.
All hail the Hypnotoad in monochrome.
They could just be traveling. We could draw them in Escher jail because I do like the stars idea of them in Escher jail. I do like that. That is kind of perfect. Damn you, Gary! No, not really. I love Gary. How do the Spaders celebrate? Asked Magic Marmot. And then we have Literate Zombie going woots, which, by the way, is Ian in the other room going woots. Thanks, Ian.
I just need to clarify something. I was wrong about Escher. It was his son that came to Canada, and when his father passed away and his son inherited all the art, he donated the art to the National Gallery of Canada. So our National Gallery in Ottawa has the majority of the MC Escher collection.
That's cool.
Yep.
Yeah, that's cool. Good for you. Yeah, I got a chance to see a showing of his that had a bunch of the wood cuts, like the actual like wood, right? That he did some of his larger prints with and stuff. Like the fish. Yeah, like the fish that are large in the center and then they go small out to the outside and stuff. And so they had
trying to learn. Oh
yeah, and so they had he did it in a quarter. He didn't do like the whole thing. He only did it in quarters so he could print each quarter of the woodcut just from this one quarter, you know, because he was so mathematical that, you know, he just made sure that everything lined up, right? But inside where the ink didn't touch, right? Because it's where it's white and stuff, and they had like you know, the 4 different colors that he printed with, right? He would like do little doodles he would carve little doodles, like little faces.
Oh,
that no one would see, like ever, because they'd never touched the wood, right? Like you'd have to actually see the wood block to see it, and that's why they held on to these. Is because he just had these like little doodles in there of just like little faces and like little mouths and stuff. And then let's see, there's the waterfalls.
That's another reason to go visit Canada. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. I hate what our buffoons are doing with Canada. Yeah, I know.
I hear you. You're here.
Yeah. Actually, he wrote Canada, which is another word for Canada.
Yeah, Canada. Yeah.
The first time I heard it called that was Greg Proops. I thought that was so funny. Lovely
yes.
Canada.
Okay.
So you're on panel 3.
I am on panel 3.
I'm on panel I lost your board. There it is.
Yeah.
Magic Marmot wants to know how the Spaders celebrate the win.
Oh, is that what I should do?
Should we go back to the Spaders and show that, like, and that be the conclusion of the Spaders? Or should we just not pay attention to the Spaders anymore and go on with our buds?
I'm thinking that we need to definitely show Escher jail.
Oh yeah, that's not in question. So should she show Escher jail? Should she do it?
I'm thinking cell block, like if it's cell block C, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm
like
thinking
cell block
like
E?
Cell block
cell block Escher?
C. No, I'm thinking cell block C. Right? Like here, let me do this so then that way it's easier to see what I'm typing.
Whoop, that's up, but that.
So yes, so Kit, do you want to do the celebration of the Spaders?
I could.
Or do you want to do cell block C? Because cell block C, we're looking at Stars by MC Escher as the cells of Escher jail.
Cells and like, you know, the mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell.
No, look it up. Look up Escher Stars. You'll see it there. Perfect.
Here.
Amber just brought it up. Amber put it up there. Look.
Ooh.
Obviously, you don't have to be that intricate, but like some kind of like, you know, jail like that.
Yeah, so that's going to be the jail cell of Escher jail.
Oh,
Do you want to draw Escher jail, or do you want to draw the Spaders celebrating?
I think I'm going to try the Escher jail just to see.
Escher jail. Excellent. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So that again is Stars by Escher. That's the name of the piece, so you can look it up. And then
Okay.
I will do on mine that the Spaders celebrate
Their win.
their win.
Okay.
Yeah, and now I got to look up a bunch of James Spaders.
Well, one of them's bald with glasses. That's pretty easy to draw. Another one's a robot with glasses. They all have glasses.
Well, no, the robot was the defense attorney.
Yeah,
was
but
the
didn't
one
he have
trying to-
glasses? Oh yeah, he wouldn't
did have
celebrate.
glasses.
You're right. Yeah,
Yeah,
it doesn't
but he
matter.
did
He
have
wouldn't
glasses.
celebrate.
Yeah, he wouldn't celebrate because he was trying to help them.
Got it.
And so, yeah. So yeah, we'll do that, and then let's see.
Do one with an 80s
think-
haircut, and then you've got the one from Pretty in Pink. Like the big swoop. Another Spader. Oh, we kept mentioning, was it it wasn't the piano teacher. It was the secretary that he was in with Maggie Gyllenhaal.
Yeah,
We
secretary.
kept mentioning that Spader a lot.
That one was a very sexy Spader.
That was a popular Spader in the Spaderverse.
Yeah, that's because that's a very sexy Spader.
Mhm.
But here's the thing that I don't get about the Secretary Spader, right? It is a world that exists with computers. Why is he having her type everything on a typewriter?
It's sexier. Like
Just-
it's got that vintage feel, right? It's way more
yeah.
secretary than
Yeah.
in front of a computer.
Pull out a prop here from my fiance. Repeat to yourself, it's just a show.
Wow!
Hi. Hello.
Yeah, he
That is cool.
went and got a working puppet servo. So repeat to yourself, it's just a show. Here's
Uh,
your
I have to say that is not the first servo we have seen on the show.
That's
awesome.
true. Actually, that's true. Yeah.
Yeah. Casey Craddock, they have a servo as well, but they built their servo.
We tried doing that and ended up, some of those parts are hard to find. So that's why we eventually went and got one made, because the one that we were building was a very sad servo.
Aww.
Steve Troop.
Servo's bizarro cousin.
Yes.
Steve Troop, he builds puppets and stuff, and he says that there's a whole secondary market now
There is now.
for 3D printed parts for those characters.
Oh yeah.
Because of the hard to find parts, like the soap dish for Crow, for his head and stuff is like a hard to find part, and so
Or the gigantic barrel of monkeys for Servo's body is hard to find.
Yeah, exactly. And so people who do find the parts,
This
they'll
is
like
what I
take
need
scans.
parts for. If anybody wants to help me, this is what I need parts for.
Who
I
is
just
that?
happen to have her here.
Ooh.
This is Janine Garofalo, one of the few action figures of Janine Garofalo from Mystery Men.
Oh,
And she
Gruffalo?
came with a bowling ball that fits in this hand with a skull in it. That's her dad.
Oh yeah, with
Yeah.
the skull. Yeah. I remember.
And there was a couple of parties where I lived, and I had this out, and the bowling ball went missing.
Mm.
So I've always wanted to get one because it's not hard, I'd imagine, to do. Like, you just have to like get a tiny skull and maybe make a resin ball sphere around the skull. Oh, I don't know if 3D printing would do it as well. I don't know much about 3D printing, but yeah, I just happen to have her here. The only other Janine Garofalo actual finger that I know of is she did the voice of one of the characters in Titan AE, and I've got that toy as well.
Mm-hmm.
Look, it's a mystery man.
The Black Hulk said I always looked like Janine Garofalo. Let's see. Okay, let's try and get. Yeah, we're gonna have a ton. Of...
Gary Garlu says missed opportunity. Philo as Philo is transported to Eschadrail, he should say later, Spaders. I kind of think he's still in shock, but that's a great line. Maybe the dog says it.
Well, I don't know. Maybe he escapes later and he gets an opportunity to say it.
I think that needs to be done.
Yeah,
That's a great line. I agree. Fit it in. Make it so.
make it so.
I'm gonna have to do this thing.
Let's see. I'm having.
Where is that tool that had the that lets you do all those straight lines?
Oh, the straight lines. Okay, so above the, at least on mine, right? It looks like a ruler. It looks like the 90-degree angle,
A
like
T-square.
not
Like a
not
triangle tool, like a triangle.
yeah, like a triangle tool, right?
Yeah,
And-
I see now. Yeah, I see it. All right.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm having the Spaders do this, and then there. Let's see, what's this one? That one's just. That's one. Okay, there's a website I have to let you guys know called James Spaders Wallpaper Backgrounds.
Ooh,
What?
all James all the time.
Yeah, it is literally called James Spader Wallpaperbackgrounds.com. Like somebody made a website dedicated to James Spader Wallpaper Backgrounds.
I'm not surprised. I mean, when I get a crush on particular actors, I go a little
Yeah.
crazy.
It's as long as it's harmless, right? As long as you're just
Well, no, like I make like a folder of like their GQ photos and stuff. And the saddest
Yeah.
thing is the last time I did that was so many years ago because I don't really care anymore, I guess, because I'm older. I don't know. But like, I guess it would have been about 15 years ago. And sadly, that actor committed suicide last year.
Aw.
Oh.
Yeah. And actually, the funniest thing is, I got into him because he was in this movie called Petty Romance, where he played a comic book artist who was looking for a comic book writer to help him do this comic, right? And he was so charming and nerdy, but he was like a comic artist, so I totally fell for him. And it's a South Korean movie. And eventually everyone grew to love him because he showed up as the father in Parasite. But then last year there was this huge scandal where this woman was accusing him of doing drugs and soliciting him for prostitution. And he admitted that he was being blackmailed by these people, and he was treated so poorly by the police. Like, they interrogated him for like 18 hours, and that was the third interrogation. They tested his hair, and he had no drugs in his system. Like, they couldn't find anything. And then, yeah, it was just the day after Christmas, he killed himself because he just couldn't deal with the shame.
The Black Hulk says, LOL, you remember about me looking like Janine Garofalo. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. I just was responding to a comment. Yeah, it's crazy how this person is so terrible. You shouldn't listen to a thing that they say, like destroys people's reputations, and oftentimes, or not oftentimes, but sometimes you find out that like they really didn't do anything wrong.
Well, my interwebs right now are full of people reminiscing about Ed Piskor.
Yeah.
Speaking of, that's another tragedy that didn't need to happen.
Okay, this is another. Rosie is my friend. Okay.
Look at all the spaders.
Yeah, I'm getting there. Getting there. And Kit, that ruler you can drag from layer to layer if you need to.
Okay, so I got it. I'm trying to figure out how I can do it. So I've got some things just in a rough shape, and now I'm going to draw on top of it. But I don't necessarily want it to be like blocks where everything has to be straight, super straight.
Yeah.
So
yeah, but you just kind of wanted to rough it in with with proper lines. Yeah, I get it. Yeah, I mean, we threw a geometrical shape at you. I get it.
Oh yeah.
It's kind of like, remember in the olden days we had those screensavers that were geometric shapes that were just like spiraling.
Yeah, now I've got the old Spirograph commercials in my head.
Oh, that's even more old. I'm gonna be 1 second. I'll be right back.
Now I get to draw a bunch of James Spaders. Let's see. Or he's celebrating because he's a Spader, like a big hive mind of Spaders. I missed that comment. That's a cool comment. Yeah. And I'm gonna put up the later Spaders line because that one's funny. Or beyond the Spaderverse, across the Spaderverse, or beyond the Spaderverse. That's clever too, the Spaderverse.
Yes.
So when I did the jury, I was trying to come up with alternatives besides James Spader, right? And so I looked on IMDb for any kind of actor that was with the last name Spader. And there was only one other actor, which was Honora Spader, and she's a dancer, and she is in a blackjack video on how to play blackjack. And so
Spirograph.
So what I did is when I posted to Stage 32, about Philo and stuff, I'm like, hey, I know it's a small community. If anyone could reach out to her and just let her know that, like, I included her in this drawing, so I could send her a picture and stuff like that. I didn't hear anything, but we'll see.
So I ran away because I figured you guys would want to see what I keep knitting.
Yeah, what are you making?
So I knit these little bunnies.
Yay! Oh, that's a finished one.
Yeah, I've got lots of finished ones.
Yeah, because you've been you were describing about like you were showing like the sock shape, and then you're like, and then I bring the ears, and then I do this, and I do this.
Yeah, see, like the ears get twisted up when you're twisting in the rectangle, and you sew the back together here, and then I put a little pom-pom bomb, and then I tighten it up right here. Like when you do the whole purse thing, when you pull it like that, it tightens up. A lot of people don't really like them because I don't do faces. I kind of like to make them look like these sort of faceless IKEA bunnies. I don't know, that's what I call them. Yeah, here we go. That looks better. But if somebody requests a face, I'll make a face. But yeah, I don't. That's what I'm doing when you see me knitting. I'm knitting bunnies.
That's cute.
Yeah, it's something to do to keep my hands busy. I get bored when I'm watching stuff sometimes.
Same.
I'm sorry I'm boring you.
That's what I said. No, it just keeps my hands busy. Like, I talk to you guys like so different. It's just that I like to do stuff with my hands, I guess. I don't know.
No, you're allowed to, do stuff with your
hands. Instead of rolling
joints,
rolling tons of joints.
Yeah.
Yeah, that looks awesome. That prison looks awesome.
Okay, so that definitely looks like it's going to be wild enough to be adventure, even if it's messy. Okay, let's go with Philo here on this. Up here.
You know what could help is if you could just put them in shadow so that you don't have to do tons of detail within all those prison lines.
Yes. And for the sketch, I think I'm gonna do them for as color so I can see it, and then it'll be black and gray. Whoop! I've got to be on a layer that'll let me do organic stuff now.
His little like pouty
Gary Garlu would like to know that if there was a Spider-Verse or Spaderverse, that would suggest that there's a Darth Vader. Yes?
a Darth Spader.
I think so. I think that's a good assumption, Darth Vader.
I guess there would be a Darth Spader.
Which is funny because Spader's obviously known for the voice. That's why he was Ultron, right? And so and Vader got the James Earl Jones voice. So like I bet he could totally do a Vader, a Darth Spader.
You know, kind of tangential to Darth Vader and stuff like that. Hayden Christensen's kind of having a little resurgence right now, which
he was in the new TV series. He was in Mandalorian.
He was in the Kenobi show.
Yeah, was right, the Kenobi. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
But is that why? Is that why people suddenly care about him again?
I think because he's doing that, and then he's doing like some other Star Wars projects. Like they're working on a Vader show right now, and he's part of that, and stuff like that. But as part of like this little resurgence, one of the movies that he made after Star Wars that like got buried, that's actually really good, called Shattered Glass, is available on Peacock right now. And
is that the one where he plays the journalist who lied about everything?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
No, he's a really good actor. You know how I knew he was a really good actor is because after Star Wars, I saw Life is a House with Kevin Kline and him, and I was like, what the hell? How could this be the same kid? And I totally blame George Lucas because the other thing, of course, is Natalie Portman, who almost won an Oscar for her portrayal in frickin' The Professional when she was 15, and he made her so wooden in those movies.
Yeah, and it's
I blame George.
Well, George. People forget that George hadn't directed a movie in over 20 years.
Yeah.
Right, and
he didn't direct Empire, he didn't direct Return either. I don't think
the last movie he directed was Howard the Duck.
Oh God, okay. I didn't realize that was him.
The last movie prior to the prequels that he directed, that has directed by George Lucas, was Howard the Duck. Everything else he produced.
That's not something I would have on the resume. Hey, how do I get this tool off of drawing straight lines? See, I'm going to another layer to sketch in, but right now it's just letting me draw straight stuff.
Okay. So what you can do is you can, if you want to completely get rid of it.
I don't want to get rid of it. I want to be able to draw on top of it and have it organic. Where it's
well, you create a new layer, and that new layer, just make sure that you don't have that ruler on, and it should do that. If it's still trying to stick to the guides, then go up to where it says view, and where it says view, it'll be like snap to ruler, snap to special ruler, snap to grid. You can turn that off, and then that way it won't snap to the guide or the grids or the ruler that you have.
Okay, this works now. Okay.
Yeah, I want to help you. I
appreciate it. Thank you.
No worries.
So, Magic Marmot started. Oh wait, no, wait a minute. Okay, so Jeremy says that Shattered Glass is incredible. He agrees. He also said Hayden Christensen was that guy. And then Earth Space says 22-year-olds love Kenobi and Anakin more than the original characters. And then Magic Marmot goes, Spader-Man does whatever a Spader can. And then Fly Roper said that Lucas was never much of a director. And then Jeremy says Irvin Kershner directed Empire, which we knew. But
I know. And they had to mat out all the bodies in Jedi. Did you know that?
No.
Yeah, the director that did Return of the Jedi was a war director, right? And so he wanted it to be kind of realistic. And so every time, like, the stormtroopers fell, these big white outfits in the middle of the green, he had a body lying there, right? Well, George Lucas didn't like that because it's a kids movie, so he had to mat out the bodies.
Just like changing the guns in E.T., right?
Yeah.
Well, that
Yeah.
wasn't Lucas, but still.
Way back before it was released in 1983 that he had to mat out the bodies. Yeah.
And then Jeremy said something I didn't know was that David Lynch was asked to direct Return of the Jedi, but obviously said no. And then the Philo said that Carrie Fisher said George Lucas could be replaced by a tape player endlessly looping faster, more intense. And I wanted to say their wife did a series called Icons, and they did a whole bunch of episodes on Star Wars. And the one thing that I learned from that series that was well, there's a couple things I learned. First of all, I learned that all of Lord Lucas's buddies didn't like Star Wars except for Spielberg. Spielberg got it. Spielberg was like, okay, this is good stuff. But Brian De Palma was like, this is bullshit. You have to get rid of the Force. That's so hokey. And it was his wife. It was George Lucas's wife, who is also the editor of the films. That basically kind of saved the films and
because it was such a disastrous
And
shoot.
didn't Carrie Fisher do a lot of like rewrites on some of the script, like a script doctoring on a lot of
that was her job, and she did do that too. And so the other thing that was interesting is when he showed them the movie, his buddies, which was like Scorsese, De Palma, what's the other guy's name?
Well,
the one
John
who did
Malice,
The Godfather. Who did The Godfather? Coppola, Francis Ford Coppola, and Spielberg. He had them all over, and they all watched the movie together. And De Palma was like, when he saw the scroll, that was saying in a galaxy far, far away, he was like, George, it's too much. And he like rewrote it for him because he was just like, no.
Yeah. But he was trying to recreate those serials.
Flash Gordon. Yeah, but the other thing too is if you've ever seen Hidden Fortress by Akira Kurosawa, and I have, there's a ton of similarities. I got so disillusioned when I saw that movie. I was just like, holy crap. I thought, like, I was such a kid when I saw those movies. I just was so, like, they were my sun and moon, and I thought everything was real. So when I saw Hidden Fortress, I was like, I felt so betrayed. I was like, George!
Yep.
I do have one happy Star Wars movie memory, and that is Jedi was one of the first one I got to see in the theater, and one of my first memories of seeing a movie.
Same. Like, we saw Empire when I was a kid. It was my brother and I were turning 8 because we had chicken pox during our birthday, so we had our birthday together. And I think in a couple months later, and it was on the reel-to-reel projector in our living room. We saw it on the wall. And it was like Empire. And I didn't know movies could end like that, where the bad guys would win. And I thought that was like the whole movie. Like that was the beginning and the end. There was no prequel or sequel coming. Like I didn't know anything about that. It really traumatized me. But in the same way, it was like, oh, this is an amazing movie.
Mm-hmm. No, my mom recorded Star Wars and stuff off of HBO because living up in Big Bear, the TV signal was so bad you had to have cable. And so when we got cable, she recorded them off of HBO on VHS. And my brother watched the tapes so much he broke the tapes. And which meant that when he was watching the tapes, I was watching the tapes. So I watched Star Wars a lot growing up.
Yeah, I remember I was so excited whenever it got the whole trilogy on VHS, which was like the elite stuff before they started adding all these special effects. Like at least the audio was good,
Yeah.
And,
Well, if you want to see the absolute untouched theatrical release of Star Wars, we're talking because even the VHS releases had touch-ups and stuff. Because George Lucas can't ever leave anything alone. If you ever want to see that, the only commercial release of that was the Laserdisc. And so the Laserdisc of Star Wars is like, in the world of Star Wars collectibles, is like the Holy Grail.
Yeah.
Because it contains the original everything. And when I'm talking the original
like
everything,
what people saw in the theater.
Yeah. I'm talking like because it was such a shoestring budget for the original Star Wars. There's scenes during the raid on the Death Star where like stuff is flying at the screen, right? And they're literally like shoes and stuff flying at the screen just to have objects flying at the screen, right? And when you're watching it in the theater really fast, you don't notice it, right? But if you're watching it on Laserdisc over and over and over again, you notice it's a shoe, right? And like they're ping pong balls and the
There's a lot of improvisation there.
yeah, there's extended scenes where like the scene goes on a little longer. They linger on shots a little longer, like in the cantina scene, like the Wolf Man like has like a couple extra seconds on him, you know, and it doesn't seem like that much, but when you compare it to later edits, you can see how they tightened up the later edits to kind of trim it down. But it's interesting because it feels more like a 70s movie, whereas the current versions of Star Wars feel more modern. Tina Wellen says, hey, just saying hi. Hi, Tina. And then Earthspace says, Lucas stuck to his plans for the prequels. She didn't edit the prequels, which some say is why they are less good. Yeah, absolutely. And then Megalopolis says Fly Roper and Francis Ford Coppola. She was absolutely a talented writer, too. I loved Howard the Duck, the original version, says Magic Marmot. Carrie Fisher said George Lucas could be replaced. Oh, yeah, we read that far.
Yeah, I have all of Carrie Fisher's books except the last book she wrote, because that's the one where she talks about her affair with Harrison Ford, and it really upset me. I was so angry when I heard about that. Good. Oh, I know it is. Really I have all of her books. I even have the Princess Diaries. I just don't want to read it because I'm so angry at Harrison Ford for taking advantage of her.
There's going to be a lot of moments in that book that will make you angry, but you should
read it.
No, I
know. I've read all her other books. That's not the first time she's gone into deep personal history about herself.
Yeah, but it's, you know, it's Carrie being honest and funny. And
I know. That's why I love her. Yeah, that's why I have all her books.
Yeah.
I worship her. I have a shrine to her in my living room. Like literally, not figuratively.
I'm not necessarily that way with Carrie Fisher, but I'm that way with Lucille Ball. Up above my art table, I have a picture of Lucy and Harpo Marx dressed like Harpo Marx.
That's funny.
Yeah, you know, from I Love Lucy, from that episode where they both dress like Harpo Marx.
And they do the mirror routine, don't they?
Yes, they do. And it's because Lucy had convinced her friend that she was friends with all these, famous people. And her friend comes out from New York to visit her and meet them. And so she steals her friend's glasses so that she can convince her that, you know, all these famous people are coming over to visit. And it's Lucy dressing up as all these famous people.
Lucy.
And so Ricky runs into the real Harpo Marx down at the pool and says, hey, my wife's friend's upstairs. Can you go up there and like, you know, put on a show for him and like impress her friend? And Lucy had dressed up like Harpo to impress her friend.
At that moment.
Yes. And so when Harpo comes in, they do the mirror routine and they do a really good rendition of it. And this picture that I have was taken backstage, and it's just Lucy just super happy. She's in a fan moment, you know, and it's just kind of cool because she's just, you know, she's not her usual stoic businesswoman self that you usually see. She's just kind of has this giddy smile on her face because she's with one of her heroes. And I think that's awesome.
That's cool. Yeah, she was a cool lady. She's very
Black
cool.
Hulk says, do you think a backstory of Yoda would work as a movie? Yoda is my favorite character besides Warwick. And then Honesty Rules, says Tina. To be fair, Lucas always said Star Wars was never finished as he wanted, but they had a very hard deadline to release it as it was pre-sold from the start. I think perfect is the enemy of done.
That is true. That's why my stuff sometimes looks half-assed. It's because have something out there is better than nothing.
I think like we're talking about, these directors from the 70s, right? John Malice was also from that group. And John Malice, after his stroke, he's still having difficulty speaking now. But he directed and wrote the first Conan movie, right? It's not a perfect movie. It's got its machismo and Conan gains his strength by pushing a wheel since he was like a child to when he's an adult and he decides to escape one day. Right? It has its problems, right? But it's such a fun movie that you kind of forgive those little story problems and stuff when you're watching it. And I think that's the one where James Earl Jones turns into a snake.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, and so
I remember the Grace Jones one. Yeah, look at the dog.
I'm trying to make it look like he's howling, but the face is kind of
it looks like he's howling.
Okay, good. Then I did what I was supposed to.
Totally looks like that. Absolutely.
Yay! People can see what I was trying to do.
Yay! You are conveying storytelling. Good for you. You got a cookie.
Yay! I love cookies. What flavor?
I make pretty mean chocolate chip cookies.
Oh, yum!
I make Toll House cookies.
Yay!
Yeah.
What's going on in my mind as I'm drawing this, sorry to interrupt, is that from Spaceballs, nobody knows Rubble Iron.
Yeah, from Spaceballs, yeah. And do you remember James? Do you remember John Candy's line after that? She's a base.
Yes, I do remember that.
I should draw
the two John Candy lines I remember from that movie was I'm a Mog, I'm a half man, half dog, I'm my own best friend.
And he was.
And the other one was hey, you're right. And when you're right, you're right. And you're always right.
One of my favorite
John Candy. That was a good movie.
My favorite lines from that whole movie is when Vespa is being called out in the desert to her father, and she's father, and it's Dark Helmet, and he goes, "Food you."
Good old Dark Helmet.
I don't know. There's just something wonderful about Mel Brooks' silliness.
I know.
Yeah, it is. I mean, when I was a preteen, my brothers and I were obsessed with Blazing Saddles. We probably watched that a jillion times. Had just all the lines memorized. And it was just so, he tells us, at least the Blazing Saddles, for example, he's telling a story. Then all of a sudden you start to remember the end, and you're like, wait a minute, didn't they bust out of the lot? And then they started fighting with gay tuxedo dressed musical dancing guy.
Yeah.
And then I know, and then you're just he's such a genius, Mel Brooks. He's so brilliant.
And here's the thing: is I grew up on Tiny Toon Adventures and Animaniacs, right?
Yeah.
Ditto.
I saw that joke in Tiny Toon Adventures and Animaniacs before I saw Blazing Saddles, right? And didn't realize that they were making fun of it, right? And so when we saw Blazing Saddles, I was telling my mom Animaniacs already did this.
Well, not quite.
My mom's no, Animaniacs is making fun of this, right? This came first, right? That Mel Brooks beat him to it. Best line, says Girl Anonymous. And then the Black Hulk says, I see your Schwartz is as big as mine and surrounded by a-holes. And then I know James Earl Jones was on screen a lot, but I still feel like he deserved to be on screen even more, says the Fly Roper. Is James Earl Jones bad at anything, asked Magic Marmot? And he doesn't decide to escape. He is set free by his jailer who respected him too much to keep him locked up. And James Earl Jones is amazing in that.
Now, when Earthspace is talking about his jailer respecting him, is he talking about the dog?
I think you might be talking about what's going on in the story. Yeah.
Yeah. I just want to be clear.
I don't know. I think this is
Did-
going to be the last Spader I'm going to add.
Did I show you my Dot action figure that I got?
Dot from
Animaniac?
Oh, from Anime, you have Dot Warner. Okay, I want to see.
All right, just give me a second. I'll be right back because it's really awesome.
My first reaction, instead of a Dot from Animaniacs, was Dot from Reboot.
Oh, I was thinking the
Yeah, I've got a Reboot toy too.
Do you have a Dot from Reboot? You should put your Dot next to each other.
Yes.
Yeah, Reboot was the first 3D animated cartoon
I remember
that was on TV. Here. This Spader in the front here, I'm gonna take over the big window for a second. This Spader in the front is Wolf Spader. You know, from Wolf. That's why he has like the big eyes with the dots in them. Yeah. Oops. Yeah. There we go. So, talk to us about what kind of art you've been doing.
not enough. Because I have mostly been doing the day job as of late, which is graphic
I'm back.
design.
But I want to hear about the art you've been doing, so I'm listening.
So what right now is my current thing on art is doing linoleum blocks, and I am in the process of learning how to do woodcut. I am got my second one in progress. Tiny, it's not very big. Still working on it.
It's hard when you're playing with positive and negative space like that.
Yeah.
It's a different way of thinking. Okay,
And-
so before... Oh, wait. You keep going.
Go ahead.
No, you.
No, you.
No.
Kit! Kathryn,
Hi.
you go.
Okay, so you were mentioning about the space. Yeah, I'm kind of like, okay, so if I cut this part, what's going to happen if I cut this part? And then I got to cut over here. And there's definitely going to be parts where, oops, I didn't mean to cut that. Oh, well, it's part of it now. But yeah, there's, with the woodcut, I don't have the fine detail. My stuff is very blocky and chunky, but I still want to keep the cartoony kind of cutesy edge. But at the same time, I want to eventually have kind of detail you would see, like maybe in a fine engraver stuff with all those lines and things. But that's a far off right now. So I am a member of the Craftsman's Guild of Mississippi, where I currently live. And you have to jury in. And I am up for standards review, which is when you become a member, after you jury in, every 3 years you have to go through a standards review to kind of say, are you still doing the quality level that we need here? Which it may sound like
that's intense.
it is intense, but they're serious about making sure that this is the top of the top, best of the best. And that's what's going on there. So I'm up for a standards review. This will be my second standards review.
Ooh,
I've got
exciting.
I need to finish the linoleum block, but since I'm learning woodcuts, I need to at the same time finish up some woodcuts to submit. And they only do the juried in for like at the same time that they accept new members as well, whenever they jury in the standards review. And that's like February, March, and then around July, August. So I've got a lot of stuff I should be drawing that I am not drawing and cutting and stuff.
Yeah,
so
well, thank you for spending time with us.
Oh, of course. I have missed doing cartooning and stuff. One of the things I loved about, whenever I did Comic Cons regularly was being able to, go and be in an artist alley and somebody be like, "Can you draw me this?" And it'd be like, "I don't know. I haven't drawn it before. Let's find out." And it's always a nice little improv challenge of its own, even though it wasn't like a collaborative project like this. It's like, ooh, can I do this?
Yes, you can.
And so it was a lot of fun, and I kind of missed some of it.
Yeah, well, I'm glad that I was able to, invite you back to play
Thank you.
with us and art with us. I appreciate you doing that, and I wish you luck on your standard reviews. My only advice is baby steps, still climb the mountain. So if it seems like it's a lot of stuff, just make sure that you break it into little parts.
Oh, yes.
Let's see. Did Lucas get inspired from Doctor Who? Asks the Black Hulk. And then Earth Space says Conan. And then Excellent Mushroom Kit.
Oh, thank you.
Says Magic Marroom. And then Love the Escher Jail, Kathryn, says K-Bird. And then Surrounded by A-Holes, that's the Black Hulk. And then James Spader from Wolf says Literate Zombie. And then Spaderland says K. Kit Kat says Magic Marmot. And Spaderverse says Jeremy Fiscaldo.
Okay, I got my toys. You ready?
Yeah.
Yes.
Here, let me put you
Okay,
up.
so I'm prefacing it with my Pinky and the Brain toys.
Oh, very cool.
Love it.
Yes.
Pinky's stuck in the... There he is. And then there's my second Pinky and the Brain toy. Oh, wait,
Nice.
wrong way. There's Pinky,
Nice.
Brain, and Pinky.
Were those like
I don't know what they were.
Toys?
No, it says Warner Brothers 94. I don't know. They're pretty intricate for Burger King toys, but Burger King did have very good toys, so I wouldn't be surprised. But I also there's a famous one that's part of this group where Mindy the kid is with the dog, and then when you move the car, it looks like the dog is humping the kid. I've got it. I didn't bring it down, but I should have brought it. It's hilarious. All right, man. I love Dot, so I've got Dot, and this one she's like licking an ice cream. The ice cream pops up when there. See, she's licking it. Dot, and then I got this little Dot too. But then last year, I saw this company called Super 7, and they did this amazing Dot. Look at this thing. I don't even want to take it out of the box.
Oh, wow.
He's got different heads and all like different hands that do stuff. Like, I love it. She's got like 6 different hands. One's with flowers, one with a butterfly, and then like 3 different heads. I like the ones with the little hearts. That's cute.
To me, toys are meant to be played with. And
I agree.
Totally taking
Most of my toys are out of the box, but I don't know how else to display all this coolness. I guess I could put the heads around her like a decapitated poor Dot.
What I tend to do with mine is I have a drawer with all the extra pieces in it, like extra hands, extra heads and stuff. And then like every few months I change the poses.
That's cool. Well, I mean, as you can see, like a lot of my toys are out of the box because I do take them out. But some I just really like being able to see all the things that they can do. And this Super 7 toy is really impressive to me. So, I don't know. And I don't collect for money either. Like I'm pretty sure I showed you my Monster High collection where they're all out in like the schools. But I do have like 4 or 5 She-Ras still in the box. A lady was selling them when I was working at the comic book store eons ago, and I was like, I'm not keeping them for money. Like, I just love the packaging because it has all that old like 80s art on it. So there are some that I've kept in box, I will admit, but like the majority of my toys are out of box.
Ian and I don't have any of our He-Man toys anymore. But when my brother and I had He-Man toys when I was a kid, the He-Man toys used to come with a little comic book.
Yeah.
And I kept those comic books when I was a kid because I liked the
Yep.
art, right?
They did have good art.
Yeah, and good storytelling too, you know? And yeah, anyway, so I still have those old comics, and they're not in the best condition because I read them, you know, and I looked through them and stuff like that, but apparently like they're worth something, just the comics.
Oh yeah. It's crazy what some stuff is worth. Like some of that old G.I. Joe stuff. Like I had quite a few of the girls. I remember I had Jinx and I had I think I had Lady J too. Jinx, like some of them are worth quite a bit of money if you still have them. But the thing is they have to be like in mint condition in their card, in their box, blah blah blah. And
yeah.
that doesn't always happen. But I don't mind because I like it when they're out of the box. I get to buy them for cheaper prices.
Girl Anonymous says, Robin, you've got some cool toys.
Thanks.
And I'm looking at the time, and we're actually at time. So,
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So, Kit, you just worry about finishing up that panel. You don't have to worry about drawing anything else, and
Okay.
you know, and you can finish it off camera if you want.
Okay.
Yeah. So, if you're tired, because I know you're an hour ahead of me, and Robin's 2 hours ahead of me. So, you know, I know you guys are.
I'm good. That black tea kept me awake.
Okay. But I got the Spaders celebrate their win, and so there's the Spaders celebrating their win.
Ting.
I got Wolf Spader up front there
No.
with his crazy wolf eyes and his gray jacket, his gray sweatshirt that he wears when he gets his wolf powers, and he's like, I can smell everything. Yeah, let's see. Kit Kat and then Spaderverse. Robin, you've got some cool toys. Fun times, thanks. And then much fun tonight, says Magic Marmot. Yes, I think we had a good time tonight. We got pretty far. We got Philo in Escher jail. He's found guilty of crimes against unreality, and
deserves everything.
Yeah, it doesn't matter how nice he was hanging out with his dog. Like, you know, he's got crimes against unreality. We don't even know where the buffet is anymore. And
it's abandoned.
It's been abandoned.
Maybe it's going on its own adventure right now as we speak.
The buffet
buffet come back in like 3 issues. Like,
yeah,
oh,
just bindled itself. Yeah, and so we got the Spaders celebrating. I guess we shall continue into the Spaderverse next episode. So I'm gonna pull down the art, and yeah, Kate, do you want to finish on camera? Or do you want to finish off camera?
I can keep going if you're okay.
Yeah, we can finish on camera. That's fine. Yeah, I'm gonna stop drawing for myself because I have a slice of pizza here that has my name on it.
Yeah,
and, yeah. But I will keep the Spaders on the screen though.
I've been watching a new TV show. Have you guys heard of Last One Laughing?
No, I'm so behind on all media. It's hard.
If it's not a
So
book,
this one's like a reality TV show, and they've done it all over like Ireland and France. And I've seen the Canadian one, and the Canadian one had like Tom Green and Colin Mockery and Mae Martin, and there's like there's 10 stand-up comedians in a room for 6 hours, and they can't laugh and they can't smile. And
I've seen the ads for that show.
The Canadian one was excellent, and I loved it. And so they've just put out a UK version, and it's hosted by Jimmy Carr. And I'm so excited. I love it so much because it's got Richard Ayoade in it. Do you know who he is from IT Crowd?
Yes.
He's notoriously straight-faced, straight-laced. Like and oh man, he finally broke. I think it was the final episode because I'm only halfway through the last episode. And it was so much fun. Oh my god, just watching it, I couldn't stop laughing watching him laugh. And it's really great. The British have a great sense of humor, of course.
I think Patton Oswalt did the US version.
I didn't know there was a US version. I haven't seen one yet. I've been looking for it.
Yeah, I think there was a US version, and I'm pretty sure I saw Patton Oswalt in the ad for that. Escher Jail looks awesome, by the way.
oh, thank you.
Yeah.
But now that I got the panel 2, I was like, okay, I'm in a groove. I think I can do this.
Yeah. Yeah. It's not the easiest thing in the world to draw quickly, but it's also not the most difficult thing in the world to just kind of like slap it out.
Yeah.
You
And I
gotta
think
slap it out.
there's going to be some things where it's like, hey, this doesn't line up with this thing, and it'd be like optical illusion, man. Escher did
Perfect is the enemy of done.
exactly.
Right. Escher would spend what 7 years on one of his woodblocks.
There's no
Right.
American version of that. I
Yeah.
know, because I've been waiting for it, and I haven't. There's no American version of Last One Laughing.
I thought it might have been a rip-off show then, because I thought I saw an ad with like Patton Oswalt in it.
Okay, I'm gonna
Yeah,
look that up now.
Same concept.
Well, he's the host of a game show called the 1% Club. But that's like a brain power reality game show.
I don't know.
Yeah. Well, let me take out Patton Oswalt.
And see if it was another one.
Don't laugh.
Don't laugh. Oh, okay, that sounds like it.
Yeah, Don't Laugh. That's the name of the show. That's the American version.
And so, like I said, it's like a ripoff of the show. And then I found a small, cool, well-articulated He-Man last year at ARC. Gave him away to a young girl who had a small Skeletor and no He-Man to fight with. Somewhere out there, the two are tussling.
Nice.
That is a beautiful story, Kay.
That is, and that's the best thing to do
Yeah.
right there.
Is you need to unite He-Man and Skeletor in their battle for the sword of power and the control of Castle Grayskull. You need to, right?
So the Don't Laugh show is a podcast,
There you go. What was
but they have lots of guests.
before he was turned into Skeletor?
Be more interesting. It was visual instead of audio, but that's pretty funny.
Hold on, Annabelle.
Last one laughing.
I've got a
was that show
ton
you
of
were
the.
talking
I've
about?
got all the females from He-Man. Like I've got the Sorceress and Tila. I got them all from the original series, and now I've been collecting them from the newer series. Because I think a couple of months ago I showed you I got like the Tila from the new Kevin Smith version, and then the Evil Lynn is like a female bat. It's pretty cool.
That's cool. Yeah. Tila was always one of my favorites. I always liked her design.
Yeah, she's neat. And I just
Like
realized
Evil
that
Lynn.
she's the daughter of the Sorceress. I never really, maybe I knew that and I forgot, but
And
she's
one
the
thing
Sorceress's daughter.
And one thing I always liked about She-Ra's story is I thought it was a little bit more complicated than He-Man's.
Yeah, way
He-Man-
more serious.
You know, He-Man is like, good versus evil, right? But She-Ra was an enforcer of her father for many, many years until she realizes what he's doing is evil, and then she joins the rebels. So
Yeah.
she still has this tie to her father, and she still loves him, and she thinks there's still good in there that she can reach,
But
right?
also her father is Hordak, who's as hideous looking as Skeletor.
yeah, and
And he's not
still
really her
evil.
father. He stole her, right? Because
He stole her from
He-Man's sister.
Eternia.
Yeah.
He stole her from Eternia, and the crossover episode where you get introduced to She-Ra, that's where she finds out the truth, where she was stolen from Eternia. She's not really his daughter, but she was raised by him, so she has this like affinity for him and stuff. And then he's like, "You're dead to me. You're not my daughter anymore. You're with the rebels. I don't care about you anymore," and stuff. And he says all these things, but he'll do stuff where like he has an opportunity to kill her time and time again, and he won't do it because he raised her.
Well, I
Right?
don't think anybody really dies in those TV shows either,
Well,
though.
but it's like you'll
It's more
hear the
that they get
henchmen
trapped.
say,
I find that they're usually put in jail and stuff.
yeah, but you'll hear the henchmen say like we have an opportunity to fire, and he'll say wait, and it's like I don't
He's
know. I
conflicted
always
as
thought,
well. No, I
Yeah,
see your point. He's conflicted as well because she was his daughter.
yeah, and
It's
I
like
just thought it
Thanos
had
and
more
Gamora.
story.
Yeah.
Yes.
See, I used to go when the original She-Ra was out. I remember rushing home after school because it was coming on just as school was letting out. So maybe I'd missed the first 50 minutes. I could walk home from school. It wasn't too far, but it was like, oh man, that was the show I looked for. And I haven't seen it since I was a kid because I'm like, I don't know.
She-Ra holds up. He-Man, I find not so much, but
Yeah.
I like the rotoscoping. It cracks me up. But I find She-Ra holds up. She-Ra's got some pretty valuable lessons to impart per episode, and it's not as cheesy as He-Man. I find.
I may have to go back and rewatch a bunch of stuff I used to.
I feel like they
Cool.
learned how to put a show together for that budget quickly, doing He-Man, so that She-Ra was a smarter, stronger show, right? Because it was made later, and so yeah, She-Ra holds up better. The writing's a little tighter and stuff versus especially the first 2 seasons of He-Man, right? But the 3rd season of He-Man, it feels like She-Ra writing because it's tighter.
Have you watched The Toys That Made Us?
Yeah.
Because they talk about that a lot, and it was more a case of they just wanted in on the action.
Mhm. Yeah. But it's interesting the shift in quality between the rotoscope scenes and then the like stiff animated scenes, and then they go to a smooth rotoscope scene and then it's a stiff animation scene.
Or there's a lot of recycling of them running and running and running. I don't know.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it.
What was the name of his cat? Panthera? What was the name of his cat?
Battle Cat, Cringer.
Battle Cat. Yeah, Cringer. That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then Man of Arms.
Yeah. Heela's dad.
Ian and I were talking about dream casting if they did a He-Man TV show, and the guy who plays Reacher should play He-Man.
Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah.
Good call.
Or Terry Crews, but Terry Crews is a little older now. But he would play a very good He-Man, and then I could see like J.K. Simmons as Man of Arms.
Man at Arms. It's at Arms.
I'm sorry, Man at Arms.
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah, I mean, like, lots of people could do great justice to that show, although none will be as good as Dolph Lundgren.
Bit of trivia. The actor that played Kevin in Masters of the Universe was Robert Duncan McNeil.
Man of Arms.
Who also played Tom Paris in Star Trek Voyager.
Oh, really?
It's the same actor.
Okay. I got Man at Arms right here. It says Man at Arms. Not Man of Arms. Magic Marmot's saying it's Man of Arms, but I got Man at Arms.
I think he's teasing me.
Oh, okay, maybe. That's possible. Sorry.
Yeah. Because
well, I'm a stoner, and I'm a stoner and I make mistakes, so I was just like
a Man of Arms would be like this, you know.
Okay, well, apparently last year, November, there was Entertainment Weekly was saying that Idris Elba may play Man at Arms.
Okay.
So I don't know how far they are in the movie.
Man with many arms.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Man of Arms.
Ian's like, man at arms. Excuse me.
Yes, the true nerds are coming out. Sorry, we cannot help ourselves.
Okay, so what was the name of the guy that could change his face?
I
Oh
think
God.
wasn't he Man of Many Faces? I don't know.
And then there was like, I remember there was a toy that had
Pink
like
Angel.
a shiny thing on the inside of his chest, and you could like push a button in the back and it would like switch around to like another.
Yeah, it's Man-E-Faces. Oh yeah, Gary's got it. Yeah, it was Manny Faces. I was right. I can't believe I still remember that. Jesus Christ. And
Yeah.
the silver chest thing wasn't that when he was like hit with something?
Okay, here's one for you. Do you remember what the Skeletoids were?
No.
So there was an episode where Man-at-Arms made a duplicator device, but the duplicator device duplicated things at half the size. And so Skeletor, when he is spying on Man-at-Arms showing this to Prince Adam, he goes, I'm going to use that duplicator device to like basically get the Sword of Power and take over Castle Grayskull and stuff. So he takes it over and he copies himself and he makes all these half-size Skeletors that he calls the Skeletoids.
Okay.
And they're in this episode where there's like all these half-size Skeletoids like attacking He-Man and Cringer and stuff like that. And then of course He-Man copies himself, so then there's half-size He-Man fighting the Skeletoids.
It sounds adorable.
In a tin. Yeah. Yeah, and so the Skeletoids.
That's awesome.
Yes, so the Skeletoids were very that was a fun episode of it. About a year or so ago, maybe about 2 years ago, Ian was working, he went up to Breckenridge for one of his sales conferences, and we had dinner, and I ended up getting like a piece of chicken in my gum that gave me a really bad gum infection. So I was like in the room feeling miserable while he was working. And so Annabelle and I ended up having a He-Man marathon. That's why I'm so fresh on these episodes. You know, they have a lot of He-Man episodes on YouTube.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they've been watching it downstairs with my nephew.
Yeah. Yeah, and
but I gotta be honest with you, as much as I love She-Ra and He-Man, I spent a lot of my time watching Gem and the Holograms.
Yeah.
I couldn't get that one where we only had limited channels, and it was like we didn't have good cable either, so I could maybe only sometimes watch it. So I didn't get as I would have loved it, but I couldn't always get it reliably, and it's kind of sad.
For some reason, I remember watching it when we came back from Germany, so that would have been junior high for me, like 7 to 9, and we were in Canada, and I remember watching it on Much Music, and they would have like the Monkeys, and then I can't remember if Gem was before the Monkeys or after the Monkeys, but it was like after school, and I'd watch it all the time. I loved it.
Yeah. Growing up, Transformers for me, Eek the Cat. I liked Animaniacs,
Eek the
Tiny
Cat's funny.
Adventures.
I watched a lot of the Disney Afternoon too, along with all that. It was
Disney Afternoon.
I was like, I'm going to watch. It's a cartoon. Yes, please.
Yes, Gummy Bears.
Yes.
Gummy Bears had surprisingly deep storytelling and lore for a show about gummy bears.
I know.
You know,
I don't think here and there and everywhere.
they were an endangered species that had basically been like destroyed by the encroachment of humans into their natural habitat. And so there were very few gummy bears left, and these were like 5 that were living in a
Gummy Bear Reserve?
an underground gummy bear like
Resistance.
living compound, but the compound or whatever was like reserved for maybe about 30 to 50 gummy bears, and there's 5 maintaining it, right?
Mhm.
And so there's all these underground tunnels that go everywhere and stuff, and there'd be episodes where like the tunnels would break, and they're like, there's only one guy that knows like the tech to like fix the tunnels. And so he's like, oh man, we're gonna have to go and get this piece from like way over on the other side of the forest because I don't know how to build a new one, right? And so they would run into like ancient gummy like ruins and stuff when there were these gummy kingdoms of old and gummy magic, and they were like a proud people, but then humans came and destroyed and killed them all. And
That's so positive and uplifting.
yeah, and so they were always in hiding from humans because humans like annihilated them.
Evil human.
Yeah, and
Wait,
see,
I kind of have to go because I think I'm being too loud and it's almost 11 o'clock.
yeah, no worries. I will see you next week. Next week. Artists that we have. Who do we have? We have Zach Hennessy next week. And
Okay.
so Zach Hennessy is an artist that used to run the Denver entertainment and something academy, the Dead Academy, which did special
We'll
effects
find
makeup.
out.
Yeah, it taught special effects makeup and graphic design and stuff, and like storyboarding to people in Denver. And then he's worked in film and television, movies, and he used to be in charge of Elitch Gardens like grounds for a while, and then he moved to Cleveland. so it would.
So
be
he lives closer to me than he lives closer to you.
Yeah. So he lives closer to you. You can have coffee with him more than me. So, bye, Miss Robin. We will see you in the future.
Good night. It was nice meeting you, Kathryn.
Nice meeting you.
All right. Good night.
Thanks for
Bye.
having me on.
Yay. All right. So there we go. And then let's see. Teek says hi. Hi, Teek. Let's see. Fun show. Found small, cool, well articulated. Let's see. Man of arms. I want a drawing of a man with many arms. Skeletoids. Let's see. Hope you didn't lose a tooth. I got to clock out. I have some art to catch up on, says Jeremy. Oh yeah, when they got into Old Gummy City. Yeah. Care Bears had Flo and Eddie for music direction. Wow, they should make a Gummy Bears movie. They really should.
They should.
Right?
They should.
But I want it 2D animated. I don't want a 3D animated Gummy Bears movie.
I mean, there's a place for 3D, but I don't want everything 3D.
And here's another thing too, okay? And I know like people die. It happens. June Foray, who used to play Grandma Gummy and has been a voice actor.
She was Rocky the Flying Squirrel on Bullwinkle and Natasha Spy
And she played Grandma. She played Granny in Looney Tunes cartoons.
and she was the Witch Hazel on that.
And she was Witch Hazel in Looney Tunes cartoons. She's in an episode of The Twilight Zone doing the voice of the little girl because they couldn't get the little girl's lines. You know, I mean, she's just everywhere. And anyway, she played Grandma Gummy on there, and her voice is so synonymous with Grandma Gummy. I know they're gonna have to recast Grandma Gummy if they want to make a Gummy Bears movie, and I would just have to accept a new Grandma Gummy. And it happens. People die, but you know it. Part of me is like, you're erasing their legacy, but another part of me knows that, like Mel Blanc, when he died, you know, you had to have Billy West take over the voice of Bugs. Right? You just had to, because Bugs had to continue past Mel Blanc.
Right.
And yeah. So it happens. And let's see. Good night, Robin. Hi, says Teague. Good night, Amber and Robin. And then live action. And then Taki, Tina, and Twee, says Kay. Ancient Gummy Ruins sounds like Debbie at the trailer park in West Virginia. Trailer smells of cat piss, but a clean kitchen. Well, they should make a Gummy Bear movie. Yeah. It's Gummy Bears was written really well. The DuckTales pretty much just scraped the stories of Carl Barks. That's why those ones were so good. Is they went, we know these are good stories, and we know that they already have an audience they're going to sell, and they're written well and everything, and we own them, so we're going to scrape them. And the first time that the DuckTales episodes aired, they did not have Carl Barks' name on them. And then the estate sued, and they settled out of court. But after that, every subsequent airing says based on the stories and comics by Carl Barks as the first credit before it shows the rest of the credits. And then when they have the map and they're playing the musical version of the theme song,
Right.
over the end credits and stuff. But yeah, the first airing of that didn't have that first credit. And so I thought that was kind of interesting that like Carl Barks was like, hey, wait a second, or at least his estate. Him and Don Rosa are probably in my opinion, the best duck artists.
They are.
But there's so many of them that are really good. Jay Foskett is becoming one of my favorite
I've been
duck artists.
following his stuff on social, and oh my gosh, yes.
I've had him on the show.
Oh, yay!
Yeah, we've had him on the show once, and he drew a really cute dog.
Yay!
Yeah. What are you doing?
I am going to be making a white shape that goes behind the art, so it blocks out the speed line, whatever background I did, because I put it in there and didn't think before I was drawing.
Okay.
I'm like, no, if it gets done and works, okay.
So, one way that you could do that really easily is you make your layer that you want to make your white shape and just start painting it in.
Yeah, and then I'll be like, I have to keep on the lines. But yeah, that's a way to do it too. I need to think of that.
Yeah. Like I said, I've been working with this program for a while, so I kind of figured it out. Flight Roper says, night. We're coming up on the hour.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if you just want to cut me off anytime soon, if you need
No
to
worries.
this time.
Yeah, I'm gonna end it here, and then you can finish this off screen, and then get it to me when you're done.
Okay.
And I think we had a really good show. Not only did we get them trapped in Escher jail, but we also have this evil cabal of Spaders that are celebrating, and it looks like they're drinking champagne. And so,
How dare they?
how dare they drink champagne? So yes, I'm going to close down the art, and then let me put us up on the same plane. And thank you, Miss Kathryn White, for joining us this evening. And
Thank
I'll have
you
to have
for
you back.
Please.
Did you have a good time?
I did. I had a blast.
Oh, good. You were all scared about. You're like, I haven't drawn on digitally in a long time, and I think you did a good job. But
Thank you. That helps. But yeah, I guess most of the things I do, I jump in first, and I'm terrified, but I try to jump in anyway.
that's okay. As long as you're wearing floaties, it's okay to jump in the deep end.
It's true.
Okay. I will talk to you in the future. We'll set up a future date. Thank you, Miss Kathryn, for joining us. And then everybody out there in chat, thank you for joining me. And still making that affiliate push. We'll see if we can do it. And next week, we're going to find out what's going on in the Spaderverse. I'll see you guys in the future. Have a good one.